Hello, and welcome to the Keep It Local Maine podcast, where we tell the stories of local business owners, artists, and entrepreneurs, and learn more about what they do, who and what inspires them, their challenges, successes, and more. My name is Todd Regalinski.
And I am Kimberly Regalinski.
And we are the publishers of Keep It Local Maine, a magazine that helps to showcase local businesses to the people in and around their communities. Thank you for tuning in to our weekly podcast that you can subscribe to on most streaming services such as Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Google Podcasts, and others. You can learn more about us at keepitlocalmaine.com and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube through the links in the show notes. In this episode, we'll be talking with Melissa Vigue and Nancy Cartonio from Bei Capelli Hair Salon in Scarborough. Nancy and Melissa founded Bei Capelli in 2001 with the goal of creating an upscale yet unpretentious salon environment that provides cutting-edge education for talented stylists who love what they do. Over the last 20 years, they've grown their business from its humble beginnings to their current beautiful location while building a team that is dedicated to making their clients look and feel their best after every visit. And now, a quick word from our sponsor.
You are a Maine business. A Maine business. That means you're the backbone of our community and a force for good in Maine. At Gorham Savings Bank, we think you deserve a bank that sees your business as more than a balance sheet. Every Maine business deserves that kind of bank. Call, click, or come by to learn how we can help your business thrive. You're a Maine business. We're a Maine bank. Let's get to work. Gorham Savings Bank. Banking is believing. Member FDIC.
Welcome to the show, Melissa and Nancy. We are so glad to have you both here today.
Hi. Thank you for having us.
This is great. I'm so excited. So can you tell us, where did the idea come for you to start Bei Capelli, and what were the early stages of your business like?
Oh, geez. Well,
we worked together at a salon, and
we also went to hair school
together.
Yeah,
we went to hair school together. We worked together for a few years. We went to hair school. We were friends, but not like best friends. And then it was really just, we worked side by side for years. And I heard Melissa was leaving through the grapevine, kind of, that she was looking for a new place. And I always knew that I would want to do that. And then when I heard she was leaving, she was like the one person that shared the same work ethic and was really just a great hairstylist. We had fun working next to each other. So I was like, cornered her in the back room. Where are you going? Because I'm going. And then we looked around and we just really wanted a high quality, great place to do our clients the way we both felt. And it was just something that it just came to us. Like we should just open one together. Like we're looking around, we're not finding the perfect fit. So it just sort of was born.
Yeah.
Anything to add to that?
No, that's well said. Yep.
So what was that? I mean, so you started kind of thinking and dreaming about opening this business. What was that initial, when you, process, like finding the space, and how did you know, like, this is it, this is where we're going to start?
Well, it was,
I know, we look at each other like, who's going to sell? Like, it started just looking around, like I said, trying to find a salon. Nothing felt like a perfect fit. And then we started looking at spaces, and we saw this one space. It was an old Domino's, our first spot.
Yeah.
And we really started out, just Melissa and I, like we really did not plan this 20-year adventure necessarily.
Yeah, we didn't have a vision for what it is now. It was just,
let's organically happen.
Build a place that we want to be at for a long time.
Exactly. We spend so much time together doing hair. You're at work so many hours, you need to have fun doing it. And it really started out, Melissa and I, and 4 chairs. And, 20 years later, we have 40 chairs. And
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Before COVID, 77 employees. So it's been a crazy ride. But I guess it started just looking around, looking for space that could just fit us in a couch. We were really into this couch.
It's all about the couch.
It really was. Got this like wooden bench which we still have.
Yep.
Kim, you sat on it. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
we bought that when we were just new. Do you remember this?
Yeah, and it was a huge splurge. Remember? We were like,
the very first thing was that couch and the urn.
Yeah.
So I'm all about the design. And how it looks and how it feels and the vibe. So I basically planned the whole thing around that urn and that wooden bench.
Yeah, true.
It's like, let's find a space. And then we found that old Domino's, and it was a filthy, like rotten hole.
Yeah. And we looked in there And I was a little more hesitant, like, wow. And Nancy just has that vision. She can look at anything and just pull it together. Like we used to do photo shoots. I always say this because it's just a great example.
See what it could be.
We would walk into a photo shoot, let's say for a wedding, for a magazine cover wedding stuff. We would walk in and there would be dresses, there would be models, and she could be like, okay, that girl in that dress with this hairstyle. And I just did not have that. It's like, just tell me what to do. What do I need to do on her? And she just had her makeup should look like this. Her hair should be this. That's the dress. So she always had this strong vision aesthetically. So we walk into this old Domino's
literally grease pit of a hole.
Oh yeah, it was terrible.
And I'm like, yeah, it's perfect. And she's like, oh my God.
And I was more the number side. So it's like, okay, we can afford this. All right, this might be able to work. So
he thought we were crazy.
Yeah, the guy showing us the place. So anyways, we end up getting the space or putting an offer in, right, on the space.
Yeah, no. And then he called us back and said we didn't get it. And we were already like, so I just had it all visualized. So we were impressed. But
she had me convinced that this was the space we needed to start this journey. And then we get a call saying, no, they're going to rent it out to office people. So we were so bummed. And I'm like, all right, back to the drawing board. We need to start looking again. And then Nancy's like, no, I just can see us there. We're going to be in that space. And it's like, okay. And here we are, new partners. I'm like, well, it's rented out to someone else. So I think we got to get back to the drawing board here. And I'm thinking, oh my word, is this girl crazy? Like, this is going to be our first location. And she's thinking we're going to get something that's already rented out. And lo and behold, the next day he called us back and said that the office space fell through and that we could have it if we wanted it. Wow. So that was the first of many when it comes to like the vibe and just things like that now I completely hone in for her. Like anything is going on, I just look at her and it's like, how do you feel? But 20 years ago, I looked at her.
She just thought I was nuts.
Yeah, I would look at her multiple times like, that's not reality. That's not practical. Your feelings, you feel like we're going to be there. What? So that was our first space and it was amazing.
Gorgeous.
Wow. It sounds like you guys really balance each other.
Oh yes.
You know, you each have different strengths. So that's huge. Being business partners, I would think that you really need that in business together.
Yes. Definitely.
So two things. The first is maybe it's my own personal geek background. But I am totally getting like the first Ghostbusters movie when they're going to check out the firehouse that they're gonna buy, and they're like, "Oh yeah, the structural steel is collapsing. It's dry rot. This building should be condemned." And then the one guy comes sliding down the pole. He's like, "This place is awesome. This and this and this." And they're like, "Well, take it, I guess." You know,
that is exactly how it was. And when you're starting a new business relationship, that was scary because I was like, okay, well, it's rented out. They said we didn't get it. And she's like, I know, but I can just see us there. We're going to be there. I just see us there and being happy. And it's like, okay.
Yeah. It's like, well, I don't know. I think that's where we're going to be. Like we can keep looking, but I think that's where we're ending up. For sure.
That's so cool.
Well, you need that though in any kind of partnership. And I think it can even switch from time to time, but you need someone who is just like, not blindly optimistic, but unrealistically optimistic sometimes.
You can say that about me.
Oh, yeah.
Nope, this is how it's going to work. And the other person's like, I think you are absolutely out your mind.
Yes.
Like, like logistically, physically, economically, like there's no ray of sunshine. Where is this coming from? Oh, wait, you brought your own sun lamp. Never mind.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
My own rose-colored glasses, as my sister always says.
Yeah. And I think it's another thing that's really interesting for this is when you were talking about the idea of coming up with your own place. When one of you is going to leave the salon, the other one's like, no, I'm going with you and we're going to do this. And you're deciding that you're going to come up with this place because you couldn't really find the place that you wanted to work. I think it relates to me so much to like musicians, movie makers, and it makes me realize how much creativity is involved in businesses because that's why people make movies. Like I wanted to see this thing and I hadn't seen it before. So I made it. Yes. I wanted to hear this thing, and I hadn't heard it before, so I wrote the song. And I think there's sometimes that business owners can, in some ways, not associate creativity with their business, but the way you put it really drove that home for me.
It definitely, it was definitely built on the creative, not the normal. I mean, it was when you ask about how were we unprepared in our first venture and how did it look? It was messy. It was figuring it out as we went. Each step that we took would lead to the next step. I mean, we were clueless when we were.
Yeah, pretty much backwards.
We did it. Yeah. Everything we definitely just fumbled our way through it. But at the same time, we had a blast. We were always having fun, and we definitely had passion, and we were excited for what the future would hold, even though we had no idea what we were in store for. And ignorance is bliss, as they say.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say that when you said ignorance is bliss, I always end up saying this. It's like Wile E. Coyote didn't start falling until he realized that he looks down. And realized he's on the cliff. Like, as long as he kept on going, he would have been fine. Yeah.
Yeah. That is so us.
Yeah, ignorance can really be like a superpower at times.
Really can,
it can help you that you don't understand fully how deep in the situation you are.
My God.
And so you just keep going. And then after you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I didn't realize how badly the odds were stacked against me.
We've thought that many times in our every big step we've taken, we've been like, thank God, if I knew how hard this was going to be, we might not have done it. So really key to our success, I think, so far is that we dare to do it. And we're kind of numb to maybe we're not smart enough to know how this could go bad, but we're just dumb enough to try.
Yeah.
I love that.
Wow, that's a
good quote.
That could be our business model.
I really love that.
Us too.
We're just dumb enough to try. No, that's a perfect quote. I'm gonna literally.
That's actually going to be the title of my autobiography.
So good.
That is so good.
Either it's going to be the first part of the quote on my tombstone. Just dumb enough to try, not quite smart enough to make it.
Yeah. And actually, speaking of dumb, if we want to get into our first business plan.
Absolutely.
I mean, we have to, because this is just such a big part of everything. So when we decide, okay, we're doing it, we're looking for spaces. All right, how much is this going to cost? We need a loan. And of course, this was back in a long time ago. 20 years ago. So the internet wasn't what it is today. Like finding your answers easily. Like we didn't have that stuff at our fingertips to help us along the way. It was just trial and error and just figuring it out. And so we decided to write a business plan. Of course, like who wouldn't? Neither one of us went to college. We both went to hair school. So
we needed to write a business plan. We needed money. So we went to the bank. And she's like, oh, okay, well, I just need a business plan and blah, blah, blah.
Right. Yes. So it's like, okay. So I go on the internet and I look up, and the only thing I could find at the time, all these years ago, was a bicycle shop, like a bike shop.
Oh my gosh.
Business plan. So I'm like, okay, I can do this. And of course, we had made the appointment. It's like, okay, I'll be back tomorrow with my business plan. I mean, totally no idea like how much work goes into a business plan. So we were up till 4:00 in the morning writing this thing. And it just turned into this
essay of how awesome we are.
Yeah,
it was a handwritten. Yeah, I wish I could find it. I mean, it has to be around somewhere, but it's basically a handwritten story of us and what we will become and how happy we'll be.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There was not one number in this.
So we walk into the bank. We with our appointment, we walk in there with this. And we even put it like in a plastic sleeve, like high school, like a plastic sleeve.
Oh, yes.
Like that's how bad this was.
Like a school report.
Oh, every time you're trying to fancy up a report that you know you're a little shaky on, you make sure you put a nice cover on it.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we dress up, we walk in there with our business plan and we give it to her and she reads it and Nancy and I are looking at each other like, oh my God, we're awesome. Yeah. And she's reading through it and then she closes it and puts her hands on it and she smiles, looks back and forth at the two of us. We look at each other. We're just pumped. And she's like, okay. She's like, this is great. I think you're going to be amazing. I think you're going to do great things. But what I really want to know is how much money do you want to borrow and how are you going to pay it back? And it was like, we both looked at each other. Yeah. Oh, it was great.
And then she slid over that little paper of like the numbers and we both looked at it like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like we didn't have one number in this whole essay.
Yeah.
That is hilarious.
It was great. But I will say she just retired from the bank, she ended up becoming my client and I did her hair for years, 20 years. And she's just retired and is moving. But isn't that great? And
that is such a great story.
Awesome. And they ended up giving us a loan. And the funny thing is that I was like, oh, I have all the numbers like on a ripped up piece of paper at home. Like I've been, of course, how much this is going to be, how much is, and she's like, that's the paper I need. It's like, okay, I'm going to go home and get that for you. And I ran home, got her the paper, came back, and it was really great. They were,
I love that.
They were good to us too. And usually like they would only lend 80% of what you're asking for. And she was like, we just have a good vibe about you guys, and we're going to lend you 100% of what you're asking for.
It wasn't a lot.
Right. It wasn't a lot, but to us it was really
the difference of making it or not.
We needed every dime that we asked for, and they knew it, from talking with us and getting to know us, and they took that chance, and we took the money.
Fantastic.
And
I love it. I just go back to your quote, just dumb enough to try.
Yeah.
I just keep thinking of that. It's so perfect.
I would not have been surprised if in that story you had said that she slid the paper back to you and said, this is totally not what I need, but just the chutzpah to come in. And this is all you've got. I'm going to give you the loan.
Yeah. She basically did.
She did. She loved it though. She loved it. They loved it.
She loved us, and she loves us to this day. Like,
that's
she's
fantastic.
She's great.
So you've grown dramatically, and I want to know, what are some of the services that you provide now at Bei Capelli? Tell us what you offer.
So we do hair, obviously. So cut, color, highlight, balayage.
We do a lot of it, hair extensions.
Yeah, hair extensions, keratin smoothing treatment.
Yeah. So mostly we're focused on hair. Mm-hmm. And, for a long time, we have nails, we have full body waxing.
We have an esthetician, and she does full body waxing and facials. Mm-hmm. Oh. And her biggest thing that she's been focusing on is eyelash lifts and tints and eyebrow shading and eyebrow shaping.
So we have that component, but we're mostly hair focused.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious about this because I think I've seen it in several ads that I've seen out there, because I'm always looking at other people's stuff too for ideas for myself. But what is balayage? Am I even saying that right? Like, what is that?
Yep, balayage. So it is a technique of highlighting the hair. And it's a French word. It means to sweep. And you're just taking the brush and you're sweeping the color on, and it's supposed to look like the sun just kissed you. So you can't really tell where the highlight starts, but at the end there's just a big pop of color. And it just grows out really soft. It's really pretty, and it's definitely, popular, and it's just one way that we highlight hair at the salon. Yeah.
If I had cool hair, maybe I'd give that a try.
Yeah.
Don't.
So I want to go back to where you guys started and where you're at now. You started in this small rundown building.
No, the grease pit.
The grease pit. You started in the grease pit. Tell us about the facility that you're in now, like how you have changed over the last 20 years. Going from, A to Z. What does that picture look like?
All right. Well, first I have to say our first location, the old Domino's, was 1,500 square feet. Mm-hmm. And then when we were in there for 5 years, we grew out of that. We ended up moving. We were in Portland at that time. We moved to Scarborough on Payne Road, and that location was 3,200 square feet. We were there for, how many years were we there before we took over next door? I don't know. So it was 3,200 square feet. We were probably there for, 8 years. Then we ended up taking the space next door, busting out the wall. And then we became 5,000 square feet. And we were there for probably 4 years. And then we ended up buying the building that we're in now. And that's just under 9,000 square feet. Wow. I know. Yeah, that's crazy.
That place is gigantic, and it looks spectacular. And and this is someone who's not like a salon connoisseur, but that place is amazing.
Oh, thank you.
It's like Disney World for hair.
Yes, it really is. It really is. You walk in and it's an experience. You're walking into this beautiful experience.
Oh, actually, I take that back. It's the hair Taj Mahal.
Ooh, I like that.
Yes. Oh, thank you. And honestly, that's what we wanted to create when our vision and Nancy's vision. I mean, she definitely is the driving force behind the wallpaper and all those chandelier lights hanging. And
yeah, it really is something. It's a work of art. It really is. You guys put in a lot of, you can tell just the love and the blood, sweat, and tears that you put into it. Yes. It really is this beautiful. When you walk into it, it's all these feelings. It feels like you can see the art in it, all of it. It's just.
And I have to say, details matter when you're a hairdresser. Details matter when you're doing haircuts and color and where you're putting the highlight on a men's cut, when you're just cleaning up the hairline and, whatever, details matter. And we just felt like that also with the space that we were in, that the details mattered. So it kind of all just goes, all vibes together.
Absolutely, for sure.
And also really, at least to me, because I'm much more of a function over form sort of guy. Like I want things to work, and then they can look pretty.
Yes.
But going in there, I was like, wow, this place looks amazing. But then looking at it more, I'm like, it really seems like the light is really good in here. I mean, it looks great, but this seems very functional as well, which is you don't always get those combined as well as you'd like, and it seems like you've really found a good balance in that.
Yeah, and especially with our third location, moving, like we're one location but moving. At that point, we knew, okay, what have we liked? What have we hated in the past? And we really, we thought out every single bit of it, from where the bathrooms were going to be, our shampoo room, the offices, like to the point where when the products come in and be delivered weekly, where is that all going to be unloaded? Who's going to be overseeing that? So it was really right down to.
And that's definitely more you. Like that's more Melissa. Like,
yes.
I'd be like, this is gorgeous. And she's like, but it's right in the way of super important. And I'm like, we'll go around it. It'll be great.
Yeah.
But,
that's where the loading dock door is.
Right. Yeah. Well, like, and a good example is she wanted to have our offices upstairs at one point. And I was like, I just, have our managers up there, and then all these deliveries come in every week, of course, with hair color and all the products that come in on a weekly basis. Like there's a lot going on, and it's like they can't be upstairs. They can't be far away from when all the stuff is coming in. Like someone needs to be able to oversee and make sure things are going where they should. And so it was things like that. And she's like, and I love her because she'll be like, okay, yep, move on. Let's do this. So it's, it works.
Yeah. We work good together. We're different for sure. And we have to give credit to Nicola's home. So Nicola Manganello has been my client since I've been doing hair, and she's a good friend at this point. It's been over 27 years or something. And she is a designer and she's amazing. So she helps with all of those details. And she's really good at pulling out like what we love. Melissa and I are so different, different. And I'm definitely, anything crazy you see that's really like wild is typically me. And then the simplicity and the clean lines, that's Melissa. And she really helps us figure ourselves out nicely. So she's amazing. So we can't take all the credit.
Yep. That's great.
I imagine, like with any business, you love the business because you got into it. How do you maintain that professional passion and enthusiasm for what you do?
Everything we do always goes back to our core values of the salon. And I mean, 20 years ago when we were opening the salon, it really was twofold. It was, we want to be happy every day. And we also want to be good partners to each other and be fair and be loyal and kind and all that. And then also, because we were coming from being an employee, we also want to treat our employees great and be fair and put family first. Like we just had a lot of core values of how we wanted our lives to be, basically. So through all these years, when anything comes up, we just always go back to our core values. And if we're talking with our employees, we always put ourselves in their shoes because we were them before we opened the salon. So we come from that angle. And also our clients, like we want our clients are gold. We want them to be happy. We want them to feel that they're coming in having a valued service. So we keep our passion and all that by just going back to our core values.
Yeah,
to guide us.
Yeah, no, that's good. And I know where you're going.
And I'm saying it's so choppy and terrible. So
No, I totally get it. But I just feel like whenever we like really start to hit a road bump, which you do over 20 years of having a business, we stare at each other deep into each other's eyes, and you look back on all the years, and we just are like, okay, at the end of the day, go back to why we started. Why? Yeah. Go back to the why and like the place we wanted to create and the place why we do this. And it generally just helps us get through that bumpy patch. And I think that we're both what's evolved over the years. First of all, like I said, we didn't start out as best friends, but we've ended up sisters.
Yes.
Like we're family. Like we love each other. Like in that way, like we fight like sisters. We always come back around, and it's always because we shared the same what we want in the end, and we get there, and it's communication. And then we try to be that way with our employees as well. Like in the end result, what do we want here? And we just try to do our best. It's really hard.
We probably we always say this to each other, we make our lives harder because we're not just black and white and one size fits all. We're we're very much the individual, different situations. You know, you might have an employee that is a single mom with 2 little kids. So the way that you
the rules, let's say, or the hours, like
the hours that they have to work is different than, you know, the young girl out of high school that, you know, has no children. And it's just, we really just...
So we came from a different structure than that. So we're not very structured. That's can be very annoying for like our managers.
Like it can be good.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's definitely made us adaptable, and
it's human. Right. It is human, and human isn't black and white. It's not. It's everything, and that's how we run it. And it probably like makes things harder. And people say, "Oh, you just make it too hard," but it's like we don't, because I would want to be treated the way that we're treating our employees. That's how I would have wanted to be treated. So we just can't do it any other way.
And then we've also like passion for actual like what we do in hair and every day, and the client, I think, has evolved because we've naturally, organically become teachers. Like we started out just hairstylists and having fun and doing hair and loving our clients and building a business. And then we've ended up, you know, hiring an employee because we were so busy, and training her and loving that, and then training another. And then to the point where we've trained, I don't even know how many, but I think that's become a new passion. Like it keeps you learning. It keeps you really involved and figuring out what needs to happen and helping them grow and like buy their first house. Like that ignites the passion every time something like that happens. And, you know, watching some of these people be the breadwinner in their family and just really building this great business. I think that's a huge part of what keeps us passionate.
Definitely.
Yeah. To be part of someone's story like that is going to be so gratifying.
It is. It makes you feel really good.
Yeah, those are definitely the proudest moments. Yes. Some days when I've walked in the salon, you know, even the older salons that we've had, I just have a few visual, you know, those few of those real pivotal moments where I've walked in and it's been really busy and I'm watching all these, you know, stylists doing hair and knowing that we train them and they're working really hard in their own right and going to classes and taking it, you know, it's just nice. It's nice to be a part of that whole thing. And we've kind of built this whole world, and wasn't the plan. So I think that's what's so awesome about it. After all these years, we can look back and be like, wow.
So I have a hard-hitting question here, a very, very hard-hitting question.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
So what is the most embarrassing hairstyle you've had?
And we can actually chime in on this as well.
Yes.
Just so you're not out on a limb by yourself, but it's kind of interesting to see what embarrassing hairstyles a stylist might have
what was
had.
yours, Melissa?
Of course, growing up with bands like Bon Jovi and Poison, I mean, I have to be honest and say I had some pretty big hair back when I went to hair school. So that's my most embarrassing, is just the huge hair. I would get a spiral perm and I would tease it and I would pull out the Aquanet or the Shaper hairspray. Remember that Shaper hairspray by Scarborough?
Oh, yeah.
And I would spray my hair So I would say when I look back at those pictures, it's embarrassing. It is so embarrassing but since being a hairdresser, I feel like I'm pretty classic, like the classic styles. Nancy, on the other hand, has...
Yeah, I was like, there's too many to even talk about. I've done everything you can possibly do to your hair. So I've looked like an idiot several times. I don't even know if I can pick one. I've been every color. I've been every length. I've pretty much shaved my head. Like I did this. I guess the first thing that's coming to mind is this bi-level, like one side's long and everything else was nearly shaved, but my hair is like fine and curly. So I look like a pom-pom on one side of my head. And I somehow thought it would work, and it's okay if I put on extra blue eyeliner. Yeah. So, you know, I was pretty foolish looking at that
You've
stage.
just got to own that. When you hit something like that, you just got to go all in.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I doubled down hard and just
That's awesome.
really put on a lot of eyeliner and tried to rock it as best I could until it grew out. But yeah, I've been every color. I've done everything. Lately, as I've gotten older, I kind of stick with my look. But when I was younger, I did anything you can think of.
That's so funny.
Okay,
Yeah.
Kim. So, what about you?
Yeah.
I'm curious on this one.
I would have to say I'm going to go with Melissa. We grew up in the 80s,
Yes.
you know, and so the thing that comes to mind is the Farrah Fawcett wings with the hairspray.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You know, the winged out hair. It's big. It's winged out. You look like you got these. You've been blowing in the wind, but it just doesn't move. It just is like a helmet. It just stays there. It was brutal.
I don't know that I've ever seen a picture of that. I've seen you with some crimps. Seen you looked like you burned out a couple hair crimpers in your day.
I may have.
Yeah. Do I have to go now?
Yeah. What you got, Todd?
Well, I know what you would say is my most embarrassing hairstyle, but that's just because you didn't appreciate the greatness of it. But I'd probably say the couple times that I tried to grow my hair out, because I have a similar problem where my hair is fine and not like thin, but it's fine enough that when it's long, it's a very fine line between like, hey, it's long and it's like just hanging where it should, and then like I scuff my foot on a carpet and then I'm a science experiment.
Yeah.
Like I could never get my hair to be long and look cool. Like I was just frizzy, and I'm like, this is not a good look.
Yeah.
Not a good look. I was trying to look like Ethan Hawke,
Yeah.
and I looked like Ethan Hawke after like he touched one of those lightning like Tesla coils.
Yeah, pretty much.
But Kim would say it's the because I had a mohawk a couple times.
Came home from a business trip, and I walk in the door, and he has a mohawk.
That is
and I'm
awesome.
Like, what the? And so we're sitting at a football game at one point, and we're sitting on the bleachers, and there Todd is with his mohawk, and then beside him is like a 10-year-old boy. He looks up at Todd with his mohawk, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
I love that. That is so great.
Something.
And I was in my late 30s.
Yeah, so I was like, it's a little too old for the mohawk. The 10-year-old boy can have it, not you.
Well, the thing is, I know the clock is ticking on my hair. Okay,
Right.
I see the gradual retreat towards the back of my skull happening, and I'm like, I'm going for it.
Yeah.
I've only got so much time.
Exactly. I agree. That's awesome.
Well, here's one of the questions that we always like to ask: how do you define success, personally or professionally?
I feel like mine would be, or I define success when I look at our employees, I more like loyalty. Like when I look at our employees that have been with us for years, that is what makes me feel like, okay, I'm doing something right. We have these girls that have trusted us all these years to work with us. And even our loyal clients, like coming back again and again to the salon, like that is where I feel the success. Like, okay, I'm doing something right. These people trust me. So I don't know if that's a good answer.
Yeah.
But
Totally.
Great answer.
Yeah.
Mine was a little more selfish, I think.
okay.
No, I just think when I tell my kids who are both growing up and older, my son's 23, oldest, and it's like to wake up and be able to not feel absolute dread to go to work. I am happy to be there. I'm happy to go there. I usually don't feel like leaving, but I have to because I have family obligations or something that I've got to get home to my son or whatever. I think that's success. When you're making a living and you're doing it, something that just feels good. Like I love being there. I love the salon. We always say it's our third child, or my third child, or second child, but it's our baby. And I just love going there. So I just think, the old saying, like if you are doing something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. It's a lot like that. So I feel like that's success. So whether it was an ice cream shop or a hair salon, like I just tell my kids, love what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you will have hard days, and it makes those hard days.
Yep. Be happy.
Better.
You got to be happy. That's what I tell my son too.
Yep.
So we are inspiration junkies. So we always like to hear about what inspires people. So who or what inspires you?
I'm inspired by, at this point, I think it changes, in life, like right now, I'm so inspired by like peaceful things. Like, I just want to be peaceful. I think I'm getting older and I just, so I'm thinking of just like beautiful things, like art, I guess, like art, being outside, being in nature, like, as far as like business wise, again, it's just being happy where we're at.
I totally understand where you're coming from because as you get older, and I don't want to turn this into like, we're all, sitting around the nursing home here because we're not, but what inspires you and what is intriguing to you and what kind of gets your brain working changes because at a certain point you're like, you know what, I've had enough chaos, and I now know that chaos is coming whether I like it or not.
Exactly.
So you know what, some peaceful things are very inspiring to me because I don't always get that by default. You start to learn like chaos can kind of become the default setting, and you're always trying to find those peaceful things. So I totally understand that.
For sure.
I feel the same way.
Oh, good. Go on, Melissa. Can't beat it.
Yeah. I don't know.
So
You got nothing on that?
I agree.
Oh, it's a competition.
is there someone
now.
that inspires you? Who or what inspires you?
I'm just really giving this deep thought, and I don't know, did I not see this question on that list? Like, why did I think of this last night?
It's a tricky question because it could be so many things.
Yeah.
Like I'm inspired
can.
all the time differently.
Yeah.
I'm inspired by you. You know, I'm inspired by when you come here and your house is gorgeous and you have so many friends and like you just get inspired all the time, daily, different points in your life.
Yeah, I definitely would hands down my parents. Like my parents were amazing and you know, they had no idea. And I really didn't have any idea till way later in life. And I could cry. So sorry. Hold on.
It's totally
Both of
okay.
my
I'm going to
parents
cry with you.
have passed. So it's just hard. But and that's why I always tell Nancy, she's so lucky to have her mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really wouldn't have what I have today without my parents. And they taught me on so many levels. Like one huge thing, my mom was just so good with teaching me how to be with money. And we grew up with, you know, my family, we weren't taking like big vacations. Never. We never had gone to Disneyland. Like we weren't those families. My mom was a stay-at-home mom and my dad worked. We were that family. And she just even I just remember her bringing me to the bank back in the day with like a little bank book. Do you remember this?
Oh,
And
yeah.
I would deposit like half of my allowance. And she would like teach me, you know, this is for, you know, your Christmas club so that at the end of the year, when we go Christmas shopping, you can buy. And I do think that translated over. And Nancy, you probably agree. Nancy calls me the bank lord at the salon because of, you know, you just got to save for a rainy day. But at the same time, you've worked hard for it. So enjoy it. So I think she really taught me a really good balance. And that definitely has carried over into the salon and just helped. But I know that's not helping answer the question of inspiration.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
You know,
No,
they were just great, just inspiring my brothers and I to be good people and caring and kind people first. So that really is how this was built out of that.
That's perfect. I mean, parents are huge part of what make us who we are and what have inspired us to be who we are.
Well, Melissa, Nancy, thank you so much for taking time out of your day and talking with us and sharing with us and laughing with us. We really appreciate
So many
all
laughs.
of that.
Yeah.
And I will make sure that I have links to your website, social media in the show notes, as well as phone number and address so folks can go and make an appointment and come and see your beautiful, beautiful facility. And just thank you so much for sharing all of your story and about yourself.
This was
This
great.
has been great.
Yes. It was really fun. Thank you.
And we wish you all the best and the success in the future. And people, check out their salon. It's absolutely fantastic. It's like walking into a piece of art. It really is.
And you don't have to get the Farrah Fawcett wing hair helmet that Kim did.
No.
They do much better stuff now.
Yes, we've come a long way.
Yes. Thank you, Kim and Todd. We appreciate it.
Once again, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Gorham Savings Bank, and encourage you to check them out through the link in the show notes. And thank you again for listening.